Hi there, I'm Lebogang and welcome to Mzansi Business. In today's video, I'll be talking about how Cyril Ramaphosa made his billions. Worth it. This guy is filthy rich. I mean, you know you're rich when you have 9 million rands just casually stashed in a sofa and that 9 million even gets stolen. But this man is an absolute genius and master negotiator. And through the Shanduka group, had investments in telecommunications, mining, food and beverage, property, financial services, and many other sectors. This video will just be covering Ramaphosa's business dealings, so I won't be talking about his political career or be going into too much detail of his personal background. So just looking at a brief history here, Ramaphosa was born in Soweto in 1952. He would go on to study law and rose to prominence as Secretary General of one of South Africa's biggest trade unions, the National Union of Mine Workers. In 1991, he was elected as ANC Secretary General under Nelson Mandela, and after the country's first democratic elections in 1994, he was elected as chairperson of the Constitutional Assembly. However, Ramaphosa resigned from politics in 1996 and ventured into business. In 1996, Ramaphosa took a position as Deputy Executive Chairman of New Africa Investments Limited. New Africa Investments would then invest 7 million rands to start up an investment banking company called PIC. PIC would later merge with a company called SBC Communications and was renamed AMB Capital. AMB Capital acted as advisor in a big 2.7 billion broad-based empowerment deal between the National Empowerment Consortium, or NEC, and Johnnick Holdings. Johnnick Holdings had stakes in MultiChoice and Mnet, amongst other companies. Not only did AMB Capital act as advisor, but it also raised capital to the value of 2.1 billion rands for certain members of the NEC to acquire a controlling stake in Johnnick Holdings. The 2.1 billion was mostly raised from labor unions' pension funds, and Ramaphosa was instrumental in these negotiations as he had experience as a union boss of one of the biggest unions. AMB Capital would do more of these deals, including raising 1.3 billion for the Ikageng share scheme. All these deals saw Ramaphosa being elected into various executive and non-executive positions in some of the largest firms. In 2001, Ramaphosa formed Shanduka Group. In its early days, it was known as Millennium Consolidated Investment Store, or MCI. It is a black economic empowerment investment firm, which is very important to note because Ramaphosa would use this to his advantage. The BEE Act, which aimed to improve black economic participation in South Africa. Companies that had BEE stakeholders appeared to be more diverse and more likely to receive investments. Most of Ramaphosa's notable investments happened through Shanduka Group, or MCI, that his family trust, Chivase Trust, had a 30% stake in. So, let's dive in. 2001, a consortium of black-owned companies led by Cyril Ramaphosa's MCI get into the medical aid industry after acquiring a stake in leading provider MedScheme Limited. The investment group, which included MCI, would acquire a 19% shareholding in MedScheme. Also in 2001, MCI get into property in a deal with Majo Property Development, a youth-driven empowerment company. They have announced that they have entered into a joint venture with Investec Bank and Rapcav. Rapcav have been in the property industry for about 25 years at that point. The joint venture partners say that future property development opportunities will be identified on a case-by-case basis. 2002, Alexander Forbes, a financial services company, announced that it has signed an agreement to sell 30% of its South African business to an empowerment company controlled by MCI. 2004, MCI Properties acquire controlling 50.4% stake in property fund managers for an undisclosed sum, and also acquire controlling share in the company Rentworks Africa South Africa's leading technology rental company. Around that time, a company called Tutua, led by Shanduka's Cyril Ramaphosa and an executive of Safika, bought a 10% stake of Standard Bank. Shanduka would own approximately 1% of Standard Bank after this deal. It's also reported here that Shanduka had a 1.5% stake of Liberty Group Limited, but I couldn't find out exactly when they acquired this share. Ramaphosa also becomes Bidvest chairman. Bidvest announced that MCI would become a shareholder in a company called Dinatla Investment Holdings, a black empowerment company which acquired a 15% stake in Bidvest. So that would be how Shanduka got a stake in Bidvest. The MCI name also gets changed to Shanduka Group officially. 2005, Mondi Packaging South Africa, Impact, is established, and Shanduka Packaging have a 42% stake in it. By 2008 though, Shanduka's packaging interest diluted to 25%. Also, in 2005, Shanduka will own a 13% stake in Lace Diamond Mine through BEE partnerships. 2006, Shanduka Group acquire a 7.5% stake in Max Steel, Southern Africa's leading merchandiser and distributor of steel. Pan African Resources also announced that it plans to acquire a 74% stake in Barberton Mines from Metorex. Shanduka would own the other 26%. 2007, Shanduka Group is said to be one of the leading investors in South Africa's private undersea fiber optic cable venture, Seacom. Shanduka would own 12.5% of the Seacom venture. This was a massive project to construct an undersea broadband cable that would link Southern and East Africa with India and Europe. Shanduka also bought a 70% shareholding in Scarlet Ibis Investment 3, one of Coca-Cola's 4 local bottling plants. Okay, this next part is a little complex, so please bear with me. Through a series of mergers and acquisitions, Shanduka Resources and Glencore were one of the main producers of coal in South Africa. Under the name Legshall 668 Investments, which Glencore had a 70% stake and Shanduka Resources a 30% stake, the first mergers and acquisitions happened. Glencore and Shanduka started buying companies with coal mines in Witbank, Graspan in 2006, Wakefield in 2007, and Spring Lake in 2009. These mines will now be run by the joint venture, Shanduka Coal or Shanduka Resources, whatever you want to call it. By 2011, they purchased a majority interest in Umcebo Mining and Mopani Coal through a company called Legshall 826 Investments. Umcebo Mining had 3 mines at the time. Shanduka Resources also acquired 51.9% of coal mining and services group Centula. In 2012, Glencore and Ramaphosa through Legshall 849 Investments acquired a 67% share of Optimum Coal. Optimum Coal had 2 mines. Shanduka also increased its 30% shareholdings in the partnership with Glencore to have a 50% controlling stake in the joint venture. So that's how Shanduka was able to become one of the biggest coal suppliers in the country. Now, I'll go back slightly in the timeline. I just wanted to make sure that I covered the Glencore and Shanduka joint venture properly. 2010, Shanduka announced that it acquired a 50.3% shareholding in Enquires Resources. Enquires had stakes in Lonmin plc, the 3rd largest platinum producer in the world, as its BEE partner. 2011, Lonmin plc also sold a controlling stake in its Limpopo division to Shanduka Group. Same year, the China Investment Corporation, China's sovereign wealth fund, pay about $243 million for a 25% stake in Shanduka Group. Ramaphosa also does the iconic McDonald's deal, a 20-year agreement to run the 145 McDonald's restaurants in South Africa. 2012, Shanduka is part of a group of investors involved in the Deep Kloof Square project. They're also part of a group of investors involved in a $430 million deal to buy London-based steel company, Scow. 2012, Shanduka buy a $335 million minority stake in MTN Nigeria. Also in 2012, Scottish firm Aggreko has secured a groundbreaking $250 million deal to build a power plant that will supply natural gases to South Africa and Mozambique in a joint venture with Shanduka. Following his election as deputy president in 2014, Ramaphosa divested from his business interests to avoid conflict of interest, stepping down from various boards and selling McDonald South Africa to MSA Holdings. In November 2014, Ramaphosa announced his disinvestment from Shanduka, and Shanduka merged with black-owned firm Pembani in 2015. According to Forbes, though the deal terms were not disclosed, Ramaphosa was expected to earn between $200 and $300 million from the sale, which in rands is about
anywhere from 2.2 billion to 3.3 billion rands, adjusted to the exchange rate at the time.
And since all members of parliament must declare their assets, these are the assets that Ramaphosa declared in 2014. It shows that he has more than 76 million accumulated in company shares. He also owns about 30 townhouses, all in Johannesburg, and 2 flats in Cape Town. Ramaphosa became interested in Ankole cattle during a 2004 visit to Uganda. However, due to regulations, he could not import them directly. Instead, he bought 43 cows from Ugandan president, sent them to Kenya for artificial insemination, and then transported the embryos to South Africa for transfer to quarantine cows. As of 2017, Ramaphosa had 100 Ankole breeding cows at his Ntabonyoni farm in Mpumalanga. He even co-wrote a book about the breed. In 2021, a mixture of bulls and cows owned by Ramaphosa sold for a total of
2.7 million rands.
He even sold one of these cows for 2.1 million to his brother-in-law, Petrus Mutsepe, in 2022. And Ramaphosa's cattle business is flourishing and even earned nearly 15 million rands in sales in a recent auction at his Palapala farm. Ramaphosa's cattle business would also lead to the controversy of him having $580,000, which is about 9 million rands, stolen from one of his farms. Apparently, the money was hidden in a couch, and Ramaphosa allegedly tried to cover it up by having members of his Presidential Protection Unit track down the thieves, kidnap them, and bribe them to keep quiet about the existence of the money. Ramaphosa denied any wrongdoing and said the cash came from the legitimate sale of buffalo at his Palapala game farm. The scandal, at times referred to as Farmgate in South Africa, led to opposition parties being highly critical of Ramaphosa in parliament. He was eventually cleared of wrongdoing though. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. There's obviously a lot of other Ramaphosa investments that I've missed, like how it got this 32.7% stake in Nigerian cell tower company Helios Towers, or how Shanduka got a 30% stake in Kangra Coal. I just couldn't find proper information on those acquisitions, amongst the others that I missed. But basically, Ramaphosa used the BEE Act and the connections he made during his time as chairman on various boards to venture into nearly every industry you can think of. I also think if he didn't go back into politics, he would still be making big power moves. Alright, that's all for today. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Let us know which topics to cover next. I'm Lebohang, this is Mzansi Business. Glad you could join us. Until next time, I'm out.